Hello, welcome to Exploring Languages. My name is Enrico Torre, and this is my YouTube channel about language and languages. This is just to let you know that should you be interested in knowing a bit more about this channel, you may have a look at the short introductory video you can find by following this link, which is also reported in the description. Now, I will leave you to the new video. Bye! Hello everybody, welcome back to Exploring Languages. This is still Enrico Torre, and today I'm going to speak about a phenomenon I have always found very curious: the myth of real English. But before we start, I will remind you that if you prefer, you can watch this very same video in Spanish or in Italian by following the links in the description. Si prefieren, pueden ver este mismo video en castellano haciendo clic en este enlace en la descrizione, o se preferite potete guardare questo stesso video in italiano cliccando su quest'altro link nella descrizione. So, real English. Yeah, it happens very often and it always makes me laugh. I am speaking with somebody about my years in England or my interest for linguistics, and at some point my interlocutor, who is normally not even a native speaker of English, mentions a place in the English-speaking world and asserts that they don't speak real English there. Pardon? Well, if I had a euro, or a pound, or a dollar every time I heard this sentence, I wouldn't need to work anymore, and I'm only 35. Haha, I heard you, bro. Pay the fine. Yeah, I wish. Yeah, but even if I limit my attention to England, I've heard this comment with regard to the Northwest, the Northeast, the West Midlands, the East Midlands, the South, and recently even London. So basically, nobody in England speaks real English. And I've just mentioned England because I've lived there, but the same comments are heard about the rest of the United Kingdom, not to mention the United States, Australia, Jamaica, and so on. Apparently, in the English-speaking world, nobody speaks real English. This rather controversial claim makes me intensely curious about what this real English is supposed to be. So, let's see. Native and non-native speakers tend to have different ideas about what this real English is. The former normally identify it with a variety or a cluster of varieties, which normally include their own, because of course it's me and my mates. Actually, me and my mates isn't even standard English, which for some reason are supposed to be better representatives of the English language as a whole than the others. Of course, sometimes these comments are made in jest, but sometimes they're meant seriously. Once I met a gentleman from Lancashire who told me that he finds it more difficult to speak English with Americans than with Europeans like me who learned it as a foreign language. This is very interesting because the gentleman speaks a variety of the northwest of England, which is very different from the standard British English you can hear on the BBC. Non-native speakers, on the other hand, normally refer to real English as the variety they learned at school. In Europe, it is normally some kind of supposedly British English, which should resemble the English spoken in London. And here we should notice the paradox of assuming that in a megalopolis such as London, a single uniform variety of English is spoken. It goes without saying, this is very far from the truth. So in summary, both native and non-native speakers are playing wrong on this point. There is no variety of English which is more real than any other. Native speakers are wrong because although a variety may hold more prestige than others and it may be used in formal contexts, the language as a whole belongs to all the English-speaking communities around the world, and no variety is inherently superior to or more real than any other. It is just a matter of social perception which depends on variables such as region, social class, age, gender. The interested viewer is referred to the sociolinguistic literature on this topic, in particular seminal work of William Labov in the United States, or Peter Trudgill in the United Kingdom. Non-native speakers are wrong because the English we are taught in school is an idealization based on a rather artificial variety of English used in the media and other formal contexts. To be sure, the importance of this variety cannot be overestimated, and it has always proved its worth in language teaching. However, standard varieties are the result of a process of abstraction, and there is no reason to consider any of them as the real English. A standard variety is actually a kind of language which does not even have native speakers. Now, there is a possible objection to my argument. Sometimes people actually raise it. Namely, the English language originated in England. Well, yes, I cannot argue with that, and that is the reason why it is called English. However, let us consider one of the earliest English texts still available to us, Beowulf. I think this is a text everybody who has attended the History of the English Language course at college has come across quite early. This is the incipit of the text. Now, tell me the truth. Honestly, do you recognize it as English? When I was in England, I asked a few English friends with no background in English linguistics or philology what language that was. Most of them just said, I don't know. A few guessed Icelandic. There's a reason for this. At the time, English featured some letters which nowadays are still part of the alphabet of the Icelandic language. As a result, does it make sense to claim that the real English is spoken in England on the basis of the fact that the language originated there, although it was a kind of language which is unintelligible to any variety of contemporary English? Let us admit it, it doesn't. In conclusion, there is no position between real and non-real, unreal, less than real English. The English language is a diverse, multifaceted entity characterized by a myriad of variants, to a large extent mutually intelligible, with similarities and differences across a range of dimensions. Of course, understanding non-standard varieties may be more difficult to non-native speakers, but this is not a reason to assert that these varieties represent a kind of English which is any less real than a more standard variety. On the contrary, the high level of diversity which characterizes contemporary English reflects the different cultural heritages of the many English-speaking communities around the world. As a consequence, while it is a fact that some varieties of English are more standard and or more prestigious than others, nobody has the right to claim that any of them is the real English. Rather, we should recognize that all varieties are integral parts of this wonderful, colorful entity which is the English language today. In this video, I have only spoken about English, but the same argument applies, mutatis mutandis, to all international languages, such as, for instance, Spanish. It makes no sense to keep asserting that real Spanish, or the best Spanish, is spoken in Salamanca, Valladolid, or any other specific place in the Spanish-speaking world. Although originally it was the language of the Empire of Castilla, the historical criterion cannot apply today. Spanish today is a polycentric entity, and there is no reason why some variety should be considered better than the others, especially in the globalized and technological world of today, where innovations are often determined by social media. Of course, in some geographical regions, the language will be more exposed to contact with other languages than in other regions, but this means nothing. Language cannot be contaminated because there is no pure entity to contaminate. It is just a normal evolution of a language. There is no variety which represents real Spanish. Instead, all varieties together make up the language, and together we represent its richness. The Spanish language is an enormous heritage which unites a large number of different communities in Spain and Latin America, and let us not forget the Philippines and Equatorial Guinea. This is a bond which should always be treasured, and variation does not diminish its value, it increases it. Okay, it is all for today. If you want to watch this video again in Spanish or in Italian, these are the links, which again are also in the description. You can also find a summary of the content of this video in English on my website and in Spanish on the Globidia website, following these links which are also in the description. This is everything for today on my part. Thank you very much for watching. Now it's your turn. If you enjoyed the video, please like it, subscribe to the channel and comment. I'd like to hear from you. What languages do you speak? Do you agree with me that there is no language variety which is inherently better than the others? Please answer in a comment. It's all for now. See you in a couple of weeks. Bye!